What is going on, everybody? Welcome in. Come one, come all. How's everybody doing out here today on this lovely Wednesday? We are here to talk about some Arizona Cardinals. What's going on, Mythic? As always, joining me here today. What's up, man? How you doing?
Doing pretty good. I'm assuming you're pretty excited with the D-backs game coming on in just a little bit.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. Honestly, obviously, guys, if you guys don't know, usually our schedule that we're dealing with pertaining to this podcast, this channel, and what we're dealing with right now, we're trying to go live Monday at 10 a.m., 7 o'clock on Wednesday, and then on Friday, we have it at 10 a.m. as well. But obviously, we're flexing this game or this podcast because of the idea of we got the Arizona Diamondbacks, ladies and gentlemen, doing the third game versus the Dodgers, and I'm so excited. Hopefully, we sweep them. Fingers crossed. Let's get this going here, right? But do you watch any baseball? You say you don't, right?
I don't personally. I went to a game with my cousin and just like a bunch of his friends not too long ago. It's just like I don't know. Like I don't hate it, but I don't love it. Like it's just like it's one of those sports that's just like I can tolerate it. Like it's not gonna be like golf. Like I'm not gonna sit there and just be like, oh my gosh, why am I watching this? But it's just like it's man to me. But
Yeah.
Diamondbacks being at 2-0, I mean, it's Arizona sports team. You know what I mean? So I'm always gonna be rocking with it. So it's like I'm rooting for them. And if we win, I'm gonna be ecstatic, but I'm not like a diehard.
That's fair. No, that's fair. I mean, obviously, when it comes down to Arizona, I think we're very, very lucky and very fortunate to have, all four major league teams here, right? We talk about the Coyotes, the Diamondbacks, the Cardinals, as well as the Suns. So I definitely think we're grateful for that for sure. So obviously, whenever they're doing good, for me, I'm rocking with them. I love baseball personally. I think it's just more of I love sitting watching it, but whatever. It is what it is. Big shout out everybody to the people that are currently in the chat. Just FYI, one last thing before we get started on the show. Obviously, talking everything Arizona Cardinals on this stream. I want to make sure everybody's fully aware that we are actually having a podcast. Look, this podcast is actually available now on Apple Music. So the first episode's already launched yesterday. Most likely, this one is also going to be on Apple Music by the end of today. So if you guys love podcasts like on Apple Music right now, we are streaming on there, so definitely go ahead and make sure you shoot us a follow, give us a 5-star. Hopefully you guys enjoy what we're doing here, so we're gonna keep doing it moving forward. So Mythic, let's dive right into this, man. We got a lot to talk about here for the Arizona Cardinals. Obviously, week 6 matchup against a division rival in the Los Angeles Rams. Man, how do you think this game is gonna, I guess, shake out? Now obviously, right, we got the injury report to dive into, but just right now as we're sitting on Wednesday, what are your thoughts on this game?
I'm actually getting clowned by a lot of Cardinals fans with how I'm like actually feeling because I really don't think we have a chance in this one. I feel like there's like a certain point when a team, especially the Arizona Cardinals this year, we're just at such like an unfortunate position that if we lose almost any starter, it hurts our chances of winning. And then
Yeah.
you look at who we've lost, and we lost Buda Baker. Jalen Thompson's dealing with a hamstring injury, and our secondary is already not great. And then you're losing your 2 starting safeties. It's just like it's a recipe for disaster. And then you lose your 2 nose tackles. Your outside linebackers have been banged up here and there. Like Dennis Gardick's not even playing snaps. I don't think he's on the injury report, but he's like limited in snaps. James Conner just went down. So I predicted the Rams to come out here and actually take care of business. And people are thinking I'm crazy. And I'm like, I'm telling y'all, man, like with injuries, like injuries are going to be too much to overcome. We don't have the talent. And it's just, there's a lot of things like play into this. You know what I'm saying? And I don't really, I'm not liking our chances going into it, but I don't want to count us out because it is a division game. Anything
Yeah.
can happen, but this would be a really difficult game to overcome.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Honestly, when you're looking at this game, kind of obviously it's so hard to give the Cardinals a win. Now, obviously, we're both Cardinal fans, right? We want the best for our team in its future. It's just we can't ignore history, and we can't ignore what has happened with the Cardinals versus the Rams for the past years. Right now, I get it, right? It's a different year. The Arizona Cardinals do seem to be a team that's gritty, that fights, that fights to the bloody end, but just can't finish the games. But for the last 8 times we have seen, or I'm sorry, the last 9 times we have seen the Los Angeles Rams, they've beaten us. They have us beat with us winning them twice, and then they beating us 7 times. So we're 2-7 versus the Los Angeles Rams, and that is including that terrible playoff game that we had an appearance on when Kyler Murray just couldn't really do anything right.
Yeah.
So, it's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. Now that is taking it back to 2019. That is all Kyler Murray days. So I'm kind of right there with you. I want to believe that the Arizona Cardinals are going to pull this out, but the injuries, man, are just one after another. You can't escape the fact that we had so much injuries from the start of the season, right? Whether it's Ledbetter, Carlos Watkins, Buda Baker,
LJ.
yeah, LJ Collier, you could just name it, man. Down the list, we got it, right? We got every single injury. And I'm not trying to come out here and say, oh, this is an excuse, but it kind of is. It's hard to stay competitive because, like we said in earlier podcasts, there's only so much, magic dust you could put out there, right?
Yeah.
So much cheerleading you can do because in the realism, the Arizona Cardinals are really wearing thin with all these injuries, and I think it's starting to kind of catch up to them. Let's talk about this here real quick, if you don't mind, Mythic. Now, we actually made an emergency pod before this was actually announced, but we ended up getting this announcement actually yesterday by Tom Pelissero, but actually all the major insiders out there were saying that this is confirmed, right? That the Arizona Cardinals are actually now placing James Conner on injury reserve. So that means he is going to be gone for 4 games. What are your thoughts on this here, man? And obviously the implications on having our workhorse, James Conner, being gone for 4 games.
There's a lot of people who go out there and kind of say that running back is just like a super invaluable position. But this year for the Cardinals, it has not been. It is like one of the most valuable positions we could have had. James Conner is playing at such an elite level that when you lose someone, like he's playing at a superstar level this season.
Yeah.
He's almost averaging 5 yards, if not 5 yards a carry. Maybe a little over 5 yards, if I'm not mistaken. He's not scoring touchdowns, obviously, at the rate he used to like a year or two ago, but the offense isn't the same.
Yeah.
We're not having the opportunities to put the ball in the end zone like that, but James Conner is doing his thing. So losing him for 4 players, and I said it, he's basically the focal point of our offense, and I know running back is a super replaceable position. You're not going to find someone on this roster that is going to be able to give you the exact same production. And I know the scheme, people are saying like, oh yeah, we're going to stick with the scheme and Drew Petzing is still going to run the ball. It's not the same. Yeah. We don't have another running back like James Conner. Every time Keontae Ingram's touched the ball, it looks like he's almost going in slow motion, or he's running backwards, or he's not able to get it going. He's not able to find the holes. He's not able to run through gaps. James Conner sees the gaps. He's able to bounce tackles. Even if they get him behind the line of scrimmage, he's able to turn a -4 into a gain of nothing. You know what I mean? Yeah. So we're going to be missing that. And then on top of that, it's just that veteran leadership too. People just really don't understand. That is a phenomenal. He has a C on the jersey for a reason.
No, you're absolutely right. Absolutely right.
Loss.
Yeah, definitely huge blow here for obviously the Arizona Cardinals losing James Conner for 4 total games. His stats are this. So 68 carries, 364 yards, 2 touchdowns, and average 5.4 yards a carry. So yeah, definitely a huge blow for the Cardinals. I would love to tell you guys that the Cardinals are going to be miraculous in this game, but honestly, I just want to be competitive, right? I think that's kind of what we're trying to say throughout this entirety of the season. I don't want to get beat down like that wild card game. And I hope that the Arizona Cardinals can come out here and play very well, but it starts off at having this run game get going, right? And not having James Conner there is definitely a big blow. What do you think is going to happen? Now, we did hear our offensive coordinator, Drew Petzing, saying that obviously James Conner is irreplaceable, right? It's not like we have somebody that's going to be able to come out here and be like, we're going to replace him with this guy, right? We have Amari DeMarcado, and then we have Keontae Ingram being the 1 or 2, right? Depending on how you're seeing it, right? Either Keontae number 1 or DeMarcado number, I don't care. But how do you think this is going to shake out here, right? Now, we talked about in the last stream that JG did say, running back by committee. Do you think that that is going to be, and we're going to be seeing the DeMarcado and Ingram show, or do you think they're going to be maybe seeing some more, some Rondo more, and then some other those other guys that we brought back, elevated from the practice squad?
I think it is going to be dominated Amari DeMarcado with a little mix of Keontae Ingram. Keontae Ingram was listed as the number 1, but everything I've heard is pointed Amari DeMarcado. So I'm assuming he's going to get a ton of touches, or not even a ton, but he's going to get. And I don't know, but something's telling me that Rondale Moore is going to be like involved heavy in the backfield. And I'm praying that that's the case because we just have nothing in the middle. And the Rams have a kind of a heavy anchor in the middle that has kind of pestered a lot of people for a long time. So don't think you want to run the ball straight up the middle to Aaron Donald all the time. So you're going to have to try to bounce it outside. And Keontae Ingram's not that kind of back, you know? He's not able to get out there. He's not able to bounce. He doesn't have the elusiveness. He doesn't have the speed like that, but Rondale Moore does.
Yeah, I agree. For at least from what we've seen right now, right, the sample size that we've seen from Ingram. Now, I get it. Obviously, James Conner has had the most of the bulk of the carries, so this might be the opportunity for a DeMarcado as well as an Ingram to kind of really come out here and shine and give himself a better name moving forward, because obviously it's been dominated by James Conner and he is the number one. But this is the opportunity for the young guys to come out here, right? And not even just that. If it is Rondell Moore, I'm cool with it. But even if it is Damian Williams, let's say, for example, we elevate him, right? Because I think right now he's still in the practice squad. And I think Corey Clement might be in a 53-man. I'm not 100% sure. But we also got that Tony Jones Jr. That we just claimed off of waivers not too long ago. So I think the Cardinals can go every which way. But I do like what you said. I think we should focus on one guy. Like, to be diluted, you're not going to allow the guy to actually get involved and to actually get his legs under him, because in that running back position, you need to have multiple carries. You need to be able to do, those runs multiple times in order for you to kind of get involved with the speed of the game. And I fear that they are, going to have a running back by committee and not allow DeMarcado to cook, because we don't know he's going to be, right? If he has like 10
Yeah.
carries, 11 carries in this game, because we need to see a lot more to figure out how he's going to be moving forward, in my opinion.
I agree. You got to give him the workload and just see what happens. You can't just, okay, this guy's getting 8, this guy's getting 6, and then this guy's getting 3. It's just you gotta stick with either one or two guys. You gotta have a mix, and it has to be one dominated, one secondary. And that's just kind of what you gotta rock with.
I agree. Now, obviously, let's take a look here at the injury report, but definitely everybody don't panic, right? It is Wednesday. A lot of things can happen from Wednesday to Sunday, but this is the most recent injury report here for the Arizona Cardinals. Of course, Marquise Hollywood-Brown is there. Not of course, but we've seen him on there before, and we all kind of panicked, but he seems like he's got an illness, so he didn't practice on Wednesday. Elijah Higgins did not practice on Wednesday. Jalen Thompson, obviously with the hamstring issue, didn't practice. Keontae Ingram, limited practice with the neck injury. Jonathan Ledbetter seems like he's trending in the right direction. Limited practice. Garrett Williams, also limited practice. And then we got a full go with Beachum and Dennis Daly. What are your thoughts on what we're seeing here?
I'm not really worried about anybody on this outside of Jalen Thompson. Yeah. I think Jalen Thompson's the only name that really stands out that I'm like really worried will not have a legit chance, because we saw Hollywood miss time and even get put on IR for a hamstring injury. So we don't know the extent of the hamstring injury. Obviously, no one's came out and said how extreme this is, if it's going to be like a 1 to 2 week injury, if he's going to come back, or if it's just like a minor tweak and they pulled him out and don't want to like have him come in here and just fully get back into it. But hamstrings are super tricky. This is the thing. You don't know the extent of it, and we don't know what it is. He's just limited and didn't even practice today. So it's kind of concerning, especially with how bad our secondary has been this season. And you're kind of falling back on Marco Wilson and Catrell Clark, who got benched in the last game. Our secondary has been super rough, even when healthy with Jalen Thompson on the field. So I don't know. It's just Jalen Thompson's the only name really that kind of scares me on that. How are you feeling?
Yeah, imagine not having Jalen Thompson in this game, right? We're rolling with Marco, the rookie, if he doesn't get benched again. It's going to be rough, man. We liked what we've seen from Kayvon Wallace, right? I think we both are really high on him, but like, you need to have everybody working with each other. And if there is a obvious weakness to our secondary, it's going to be exposed, right? Because who do they got over there? Who are those two wide receivers they got over there?
Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua. Like, it's crazy, because both of these guys could literally drop 8+, 10+ receptions and 100 yards and both get in the end zone. And Matthew Stafford could have 300 yards. And it's a situation where you don't want to be unoptimistic, and you don't want to come in here and be like, oh yeah, we're just going to lay down, because we're not going to lay down. We're going to put our best foot forward, and we're going to try to compete. But it's tough knowing that you have a secondary where you just got one-man wrecking ball crewed by Jamar Chase. And now you have Cooper Kupp, who was a former Triple Crown winner, one of the best receivers, if not the best receiver. It's him or Justin Jefferson. And then you have Puka Nacua, just a breaking out rookie, a guy who's putting up 10 receptions, almost averages 10 receptions a game, putting up insane stats, had a game-winning touchdown against the Colts a couple weeks ago. It's scary. Like, it's really kind of terrifying thinking about the way this Cardinal secondary's played and knowing what could happen. And it's kind of it's kind of something I'm dreading, honestly.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
And it's just one of those games where I feel like it can get really ugly really quick, and points could get put up. And then knowing how this offense goes, especially without James Conner, it's just not. I'm not as optimistic as I have been in years or weeks past.
Yeah, I agree. I think where we're kind of at right now as an organization, right? 1-4. It's hard to ignore the fact that we're 1-4, right? I mean,
Yeah.
there's no slicing it any other way. But I guess there might be, I don't want to say a little light, but I guess you can call it excitement, but maybe what of the idea of we do start seeing Garrett Williams, right? Maybe Kittrell Clark gets benched again, and maybe we start seeing Garrett Williams comes in. Now, it would be kind of hard to come out here and say, you cover either, Cooper Kupp or Puka, right? Like, it will be hard. But we also, as Cardinal fans, are very, very high on Garrett Williams. And if him coming in here and possibly being a shutdown corner, maybe not this year, but for future to come, it would be kind of cool to see him on the field. Now, looking at this injury report that we're seeing here on Wednesday, we see him as in limited fashion. And that's what we saw last week as well, where he was in practice, obviously limited wise. And it's the same thing here where Garrett Williams is also limited for the Arizona Cardinals. So maybe we might be seeing Garrett Williams this week. What are your thoughts on that?
I really hope so. I
Me
want to
too.
see Garrett Williams on the field so bad. And if we need him for any game, it'd be this one. And I'm
Yeah.
not saying we even have a chance this season to go anywhere, but it's just like it kind of just sparks a little more optimism into this team and kind of gives us something to look forward to. And obviously, if he's not ready, you don't play him. But a lot of Cardinals fans, including me and you, have been dying to see him on the field. And he's so close. And if it's not this week, it's most likely next week. So hopefully he gets to the point where he's able to play, because I really want to see him. And this is probably the ultimate test, because you're lining up against Puka Nacua or Cooper Kupp, or you're going to be playing nickel, and you're going to have to go ahead and figure it out, and you're going to have to be all over the place. So you have a lot of players on this team, the Rams team, that can give you problems.
Yeah, no, I agree. This is going to be a tough task here for the Cardinals. Now, obviously, Matthew Stafford being their quarterback over there, no slouch, right? I think I'm not sure if I'm not going to put you in the same realm where I was thinking that the Rams were going to be a disaster this year. But I mean, he's been putting up some, pretty respectable numbers. I mean, I thought he was, cooked, but I think he's doing pretty decent for, for what he's been doing so far this year. Now, let me bring up his stats here for this year. That's 2023. Wait, does he really have over? Wait, is this right? I'm showing over 1,400 yards. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think he's a top five.
Woo!
I think he's a top five passer, but I think his pick to touchdown ratio is not insane.
Yeah, it's 5 touchdowns to 5 picks.
Yeah, it's not great, but
Yeah,
he's slinging
QBR
that
rating
thing.
of 60.8. So a total of 1,451 passing yards for Matthew Stafford. Hey, this guy's throwing the ball.
Yeah. I didn't think the Rams were going to be good, though. You're right in classifying me there. I
Yeah.
really thought the Rams are going to be a kind of a disaster. And here they come out, and Matthew Stafford's playing a lot better than I thought he would.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be super run heavy, because I thought the arthritis or whatever he has in his elbow was going to be like a super big factor, but clearly not. That is the focal point of the offense still, is throw, 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 throw. And Matthew Stafford is not shy of that. He's making Puka Nacua look fantastic. Cooper Kupp is looking fantastic again. In his debut game, he looks ridiculous. So Matthew Stafford is definitely over expectations for me.
Yeah, I agree. And then they got a running back over there where, there's this whole issue with their original running back, which they ended up trading him away. But is it Kyron Williams? He's doing pretty decent for them. 5 touchdowns on the season so far, 290 yards, 77 carries, average about 3.9 yards a carry. Kyron Williams, definitely a guy that I think they drafted last year, if I'm not mistaken,
I think
out
so.
of Notre Dame. What are your thoughts on him?
He's crazy good.
Yeah.
He is crazy good. And Cam Akers, I've never been a fan of Cam Akers. And then obviously you have that incident with Buda Baker. So it just makes you hate him a little more. Or hate's a strong word, but you just dislike him a little more.
Yeah.
And yeah, so Cam Akers gets traded, and they kind of just gave the reins to Kyron. And Kyron is just doing his thing. He is doing his thing. He might finish the season with 15 touchdowns.
Yeah, probably. I mean, he's getting the
on
opportunity.
pace. He's on pace.
He's getting the opportunity that he is. And it's definitely obviously something that the Arizona Cardinals need to acknowledge because we have been victims of getting burnt right on the ground as well as the air attack. So although I think we're pretty both optimistic of like how our defense has looked in spurts, right? I think we both acknowledge the fact that our defense can use some serious help. And then this draft class, let's be honest, whenever we're doing the coverage of this offseason, that's where it's going to get more fun, right? We're going to talk about free agency. We're talking about the draft. I think that's when it's going to get more fun here. But obviously, we got to go through the bumps and bruises right now as Cardinal fans. And we're a 1-4 team, right? There's no other way to slice it other than that.
Exactly. You just gotta finish it out and see where we place, and then things get a lot spicier.
I agree. Let's talk about this. Now, when we originally were talking about this stat here, which I don't hear anybody else talk about this, but I think this is a big deal. The whole points scored in the first half compared to the second half, I was able to do the tally it up now. So actually 78 points scored in the first half for the Arizona Cardinals, and that is for the total of the first 5 weeks. 78 points scored the Arizona Cardinals have done. In the second half, it all tallies to 30 points, ladies and gentlemen.
Just even?
Yeah, even 30 points.
Wow.
In the second half.
That's insane. It is just insane. Less than double. It's not even close.
Not even.
Like 18 points off from being doubled. And people just don't see it as a problem. And it's just, as soon as you play a half of football and you kind of realize you don't have the talent, like you really don't. You just don't have the talent to compete for 60 minutes. You have the talent to compete for 30. You don't have the talent to compete for 60. We're kind of getting exposed. And obviously, we're not supposed to be a fantastic football team. Like, this is a team that was looked at as one of the worst going into the season. And rightfully so. But we came in here and we were playing above expectations. We're playing with fight. We're playing with everything that you would love to see. Just trending in the right direction. And we just need to keep going at it. But that just can't get overlooked. That is a major problem. This has been a problem for years past as well. So it's not a good look. I don't know if you think it's going to be a problem when Kyler comes back, or like in the future, like if it's just going to continue trending that way.
I hope it doesn't. I mean, we've been talking about this since week 1, and I don't hear like. I mean, granted, I don't really listen to any other like podcasts out there. Maybe they have been, but I'm not sure. But it's a big deal. It is. The Arizona Cardinals have scored 78 points in the first 4 weeks in the first half, and then in the second half, 30 points. Like, it's been an issue that's been plaguing the Cardinals for all 5 weeks so far that we've seen, and it's got to get fixed. Where Jonathan Gannon has come out here and obviously been upset about, allowing their best players to beat us. I mean, this is kind of one of those things where the Cardinals can get beat, right? We know what we have on defense, right? We got some pieces, but we don't have a full team. I think we could all agree, the people in the chat, including me and you, we don't have a full team. We got potential and we got some bright spots, but we're really hoping for this offseason and maybe next offseason to really become that complete team that is going to start contending for anything, the division, a title, or whatever you want to say it. But right now, the Arizona Cardinals have fight. They got grit. They got a coach that seems like it's not way over his head. But this is something that I want to hold Jonathan Gannon in a high expectation, because I do not want this to continue for the rest of the year.
Absolutely.
I don't. They need to put points up in the second half. 30 points in the second half in total for the first or the second half is atrocious. It's atrocious. That's like
even if you come out with 10, even if you just come out with 10, like that's better. We need to see improvement. Like, you can't just have teams coming out here and just mauling you in the second half and just shutting you down. Like, we're basically non-factors in the second half. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You have to compete 60 minutes. You can't be a 30-minute football team. You're not going to win like that. And we got to fix it. It has to be addressed. It has to be fixed, and we have to work on it. I don't know what that's going to take or why that's happening. I don't know what's changing. I'll probably watch a little more in depth and see what kind of like changes, and like see if play calling changes or whatever. Or if we're just like staying same guidelines, like, okay, we're going to not change anything up. We're just going to play football the same way 2 halves in a row. Like, I really don't know. So it's something we probably both need to just kind of like keep our eye out on for, but like it's got to get addressed.
100%. I agree. And obviously with this defense is coming in here, which is not the same defense that has won the Super Bowl, right? But it's still a good defense. It's still got some good pieces on there. Obviously Aaron Donald will be one of them. That's always been wreaking havoc on a Arizona Cardinal quarterback, whoever's back there. So definitely very concerning. I hope we can break this trend and maybe have our second half be better than our first half, but we got to finish strong. And I think even if we do win 2 to 3 games, 4 games, I, I want to see this fixed. I truly do. I truly do.
I'm right with you.
I got somebody in the chat here saying they're getting lazy in the second half. I mean, it could be that, but I think it's something that Mythic actually said. We have a team right now that is battling everything they possibly can, but we don't have a team as a whole that's able to compete for 60 minutes, right? You just said that. I think you said that beautifully because it's the truth. There's so many holes on this team, so many, and it's getting exposed.
Like, people don't realize that, like, in comparison to other NFL teams, we are not that talented. We're just playing a lot harder than other teams are. Like, if other teams were playing with the effort that we were playing with, wouldn't be close. But this Cardinals team is coming out here and they're really trying to get wins. Like, they are putting their best thing out there. They are really scheming it up. They're doing everything they can to get every single yard, try to get every single point they can. And we're in games. Like, I think that's all we can ask for at the end of the day. Like, we didn't have insanely high expectations coming into this. We are competing. That is all we can ask for. But at the end of the day, they're just giving us that glimmer of hope. So it kind of sucks a little more because now we have optimism. So now we have optimism going into this. And it's like, okay, yeah, we have a chance. We have a chance. We have a chance. And then it's just they let up. And then the second half happens and it's just over. And we're like, wow, that sucks.
Yeah.
But it's just 60-minute football. You don't have the talent right now. It's not going to happen. And you just kind of got to realize where we are at this rebuild. We're kind of just rebuilding this completely. It's a rebuilt team under Monty Austin-Fort, and you kind of just let him take these next 2 years and just kind of build it out, and then we'll address it going into year 3. And then when year 3 comes, I'm assuming this roster is going to be way better constructed under his vision, which is run heavy, tough football and defenders who can fly all the way around. And we kind of see it here. And this is kind of a team he literally just like basically like imported. Like, he just like took the reins over.
Yeah.
And he's making them play way better than they've ever played. And obviously that is shout out to Jonathan Gannon, Drew Petzing, and Nick Rallis. Like, everybody on this coaching staff deserves credit. But it's just, you got to give it time.
Yeah.
You got to give it time. But that 60-minute football thing and playing better in the second half, you have to figure it out. Even if it's baby steps, you got to figure it out.
Yeah. I mean, well, we got, 12 games left? Should be plenty enough time, right?
I think so.
Yeah, 5. We got done with 5. Yeah. 7. Yeah, 12 games left. So, I mean, it's still a long season. Anything else you want to add here for Rams Cardinals? Now, obviously, I think we're going to dissect that a little bit more this coming Friday once we know the official, I guess not official, but like we have more room to find out what's going to happen for our injury report, right? Because right now, when you're looking at it, you got Marquise Hollywood Brown on there with an illness. Like, he can recover from an illness. Well, I guess it just depends on what illness he's got, right? But
yeah,
most likely, like, that doesn't worry me. Both things that worry me and Mythic here is obviously the idea that he has Jalen Thompson on there with a hamstring issue, which he ended up getting with that the last game versus the Bengals. So that's definitely most concerning. The thing that also sticks out is Jonathan Ledbetter. He's coming back hopefully soon. That would be a huge boost for the Cardinals, especially in that defensive line. What do you think about that?
That is someone who super underrated, and it's just being able to slot him back in is going to help in the run game so much. It really will, and we need him back as soon as possible. That's the thing. Injuries kill us because as soon as you lose anybody, like literally anybody, things get way more difficult. Like, it could be any starter on this team. It's going to become more difficult. We don't have that talent. So Jonathan Ledbetter coming back is phenomenal. Obviously, he's not a big name player or whatever, but just like for what this team is right now, I think it would be a big get back. Yeah. So hopefully he's able to play.
He is the best we have.
Yeah, that's the best way to put it. He's the best we have at this moment. So getting him back would be big.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm trying to avoid talking about Kyler, but I want to ask you this. I don't know if you listened to the most recent interview with Jonathan Gannon in 98.7. They ended up asking him if he feels like Kyler Murray will be playing a good chunk or a decent amount this year, JG said yes. Have you heard that interview at all? If not,
Yeah.
I can try to
Where
find
he
it.
said he's going to play a decent amount of football this season.
Yes. What are
I
your thoughts on that?
I'm kind of just at a point where it's like I'll believe it when I see it. We're just kind of getting dragged along,
Yeah.
and I think it will come. But I think everything he said implies it's going to happen later in the season, like
Yeah.
either midway through or like a little under midway through. And obviously, super, super, super controversial quarterback rumors going around. Everywhere is a quarterback rumor. There's 10 different ways the Cardinals could go about this. And who knows? Like, genuinely, who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah.
But I think the smart thing is to play him. And we kind of stood on that. And you got to get him back. And as soon as he plays, you can evaluate that. And I think Jonathan Gannon really does want to see him for a good amount. So when he does say a decent amount of games, I think he's kind of implying around like the 8-game mark.
That's fair.
I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
he's talking around there.
Yeah, and just to be clear here, it's not like we're trying to put it. I know it's a big topic, right? The reason why is because throughout these 5 weeks of the NFL already, how many breadcrumbs, how many little snippets, how many little things that we've jumped up, perked up, and said, "Oh my God, huh, huh." I think me and you both agree that we're just kind of tired of the being dragged along, right? I get that there might be some sort of competitive advantage. I get that it probably is unknown, but like I just so wish I wish so badly that Kyler Murray, although at that moment, I'm not saying this, but right now, sitting where I'm at, I wish Kyler Murray didn't put that TikTok out. I truly like that whole soon thing got me way too excited, like way too excited. And it's not his fault; it's my fault as a Cardinal fan. But it's just one of those things. I do have the audio clip right here, so let me play it for you guys that don't know what we're talking about. Let me play it for you guys.
Perfect.
Got the name on the billboard, so I'll ask you about Kyler and the chances of him being off this PUP list sometime this week. Is he close? Do you feel that it'll be either this week or next week?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure yet. We'll see how the next couple days go, but comfortable where he's at. Like I said, he's getting better every day. I know he's chopping at the bit. I kind of sound like a broken record, but when he's ready to go, he'll go. So I feel good about where he's at, though.
And again, you fully expect that he is going to play a decent amount of games this season?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, he expects
no hesitancy. No hesitancy.
Yeah.
I like that though, because I really do feel like he genuinely doesn't know. It's like a situation where it's like, okay, yeah, maybe in the next like 3 to 4 weeks or 2 to 3 weeks or who knows, like just sometime he's going to be coming back. And I feel like everything he says has been pretty consistent as well. Like they genuinely don't know. And that's kind of what I'm getting from this is like, they really don't know. They just know it's going to be sometime probably before the halfway point of the season, he'll be activated and they'll evaluate it as it goes and they'll get him in as soon as he's ready. And he does want to see him on the field. I feel like it's been pretty consistent and there's just a bunch of rumors flying around that kind of just make you backtrack a little bit. But I really do feel like it's been pretty consistent and we kind of know what to expect. But that TikTok, like you said, man, got me so amped up for a lot. And obviously soon it could mean a month. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, true.
Like it could really mean a month. Like it's like he's amping up the rehab process or whatever. And he's feeling the best he's ever felt. And he's close to on-field action. It could mean that. But obviously as fans, without your franchise quarterback, you start to overthink a little bit. And it's like, okay, soon. Yeah, it's going to be in like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Kind of got our hopes up a little bit, but obviously that's not his fault necessarily. But I mean, it was just like a little glimmer of hope, literally a glimmer of hope. And we kind of latched onto it. And here we are still talking about the exact same thing.
We did definitely held on to that for sure. Let me ask you this here real quick. I think one of the biggest, continue to talk about here, the Rams game. I know this is going to be one of those questions that might be hard to answer, but who right now would you put Marco Wilson on? Would you do Cooper Kupp or would you do Puka? Like who would you put Marco Wilson on, or who do you think is going to have the better game out of the two wide receivers?
Wow. Whew. Man, oh man. That's tough because like skill set wise, they are both incredibly different in terms of skill sets. And if Garrett Williams plays, it kind of changes it up. And I
True.
kind of want I don't know if I want one player staying on one side of the field, because the thing with Marco Wilson is, even though he's not phenomenal in coverage, especially man coverage, necessarily, he does have the athletic ability to make up for it. Super freak athlete. He has great catch up speed, insane vertical. Like, the guy can cover space pretty quickly. So it makes up for the lack of coverage, but man, who do you put him on? Because your options are either Garrett Williams or Cottrell Clark if you put him on Puka. You know what I'm saying?
Hamilton. Maybe they might throw Hamilton back in there. I mean, veteran.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I think Marco Wilson on Puka is probably where I would go. And then I just don't know if I'd run a ton of man this game. Like, I don't know if I want to go a lot of man, but I don't want to play soft zones. Like, I don't want to just play off, because the Rams have no problems taking their little 5-yard routes and just banking on yak. So I don't want the 5-yard plays turning into 15, 20-yard plays. So it's tough, and it's a lot of schemes. Sorry for the dogs barking in the background.
You're good.
It's tough. I think for Marco, Puka is the better option. And then maybe you see Antonio Hamilton shading Cooper Kupp a little more. I think that's probably your best route. Is that the way they're going to go? I really don't know. Yeah. What are you thinking?
That's a tough one, bro. Honestly, I think I'm going to answer the way you did. It's kind of one of those things, because like you don't know. I mean, like, Marco Wilson hasn't struggled a lot. Now, obviously, Cottrell was benched for a reason, but he's a rook, right? He's a rookie. That's one of the main reasons why Marco was in there. But like, we all hoped that he was going to take that extra step. And we just haven't seen it, unfortunately. But what I would do, I do like the idea of Marco Wilson, because here's the point, right? Here's the realism, is that we don't have anybody better. Like, that's the problem. If Garrett Williams does play, okay, we might be looking into a different scenario there. But because Garrett Williams right now is still unknown, in my mind, I'm rolling with, obviously, Marco Wilson, Cottrell Clark, and Antonio Hamilton. So I would say Marco Wilson on Puka, and then Cooper Kupp's probably going to have a monster game, but so is Puka, because it's not like Marco Wilson is going to have, he's not like a shutdown corner. So we're going to get, there's going to be points put up on the board. Let's just say that. I hope the Cardinals can continue to put points up on the board as well. Obviously, I don't think it's going to be nearly enough, because this offense is explosive on the run game, like that Kyron Williams we just talked about. But not just that, we're talking about 2 wide receivers that can be a very, very good duo, especially Cooper Kupp coming back.
It's like, I'm at a point where I really don't see the Rams not dropping over 24. I feel like 24 is kind of like the minimum for this game. And if for whatever reason we hold the Rams under 24, I think we have a chance. But it's just tough, because Kyron Williams is playing at such an elite level with 5 touchdowns on the year. And then Puka and Cooper Kupp in his first game back, it's like he never missed a beat.
100%.
Never missed a beat. And then Puka Nacua is playing at an elite level. Like, he just like filled Cooper Kupp's spot. Like, he literally came in, filled it, and played phenomenal. And now it's like, oh yeah, now we get to play together. So what do you do? What do you do? I don't know. And you're at a situation as the Cardinals where you kind of realize you don't have the talent to keep up. Yeah. So now it comes down to, how do you scheme that? You kind of have to get your pass rushers involved. You gotta put pressure on. But do you trust your DBs enough to sit back there in one-on-one coverage? I don't. Do you?
Not against those guys. Yeah,
absolutely not. So it's just, I don't know how you scheme about that. I really don't.
Here's the thing too. I guess we talk about our pass rushers now. I guess nice little segue there. Zaven Collins, I think we are all pretty proud of what has he looked like so far once we kind of moved him to the outside. But like this coming draft or this coming free agency, like I do like Dennis Gardeck as well, but like we haven't seen enough of these unknown swing players, right? Your Cam Thomas, your Maje, Bijo Jalar. We haven't seen enough of those guys to say, Victor Dimikaji as well. We haven't seen enough to say, oh, I'm confident in our outside linebackers, right? I still think the Arizona Cardinals need to go heavy on defensive line, whether it's the draft or free agency, and also corners. Like the whole defense needs a facelift. So this game is going to be determined on the trenches. Like I feel like if we do pressure Matthew Stafford, I think we could have a chance. But with what we've seen so far with, Joe Burrow, and then Brock Purdy, it's not a good step, because something that we talked about before that a lot of people I feel like aren't talking about. I think most people that were seeing the Cardinals coming on their roster, I don't think that they fully understand that the Cardinals weren't tanking, and I don't think they were fully understanding that the Cardinals weren't going to just lay down and lose. Like, they're going to come out here and fight, right? They're gritty. They're going to come out here and try to win games. Now, whether they have the talent, that's a completely different story. But now I think that people are starting to realize that the Cardinals right now aren't sitting at that number one overall spot, and it's the Bears. I think they're starting to kind of second guess on, let's not sleep on these guys because we don't want to get an unnecessary L against a team that shouldn't beat us. So I think there's a lot of stuff stacked up against the Cardinals. And I think this stretch that we're going to be getting, even after the Rams game, because the Rams, the Seahawks, and the Ravens. And I remember before we talked about, like, before we even entered the season, we both kind of were like, maybe the Ravens could be a winnable game. If that, maybe the Browns, right? Those two games are kind of interchangeable, but like, let's be honest, like those teams are, decent, right? And they have a full roster if they're a quarterback in play, right? In Deshaun Watson or Lamar Jackson, getting the run game going. So this is gonna be a tough stretch for the Cardinals, a tough stretch.
It is. And going to Zaven Collins real quick, I'm not like insanely impressed because I really don't feel like Zaven Collins is fit to be an outside linebacker. Like, maybe he's a run stuffer, but he's definitely not a pass rusher.
Okay.
There's nothing he's done through 5 games that has like really struck me and like, okay, yeah, he's a long-term future as a pass rusher. Because I'm personally not spending the money it's going to take to retain Zaven Collins as an outside linebacker, because outside linebackers' price tags are insane.
Yeah.
And if you're not a pass rusher, I'm not signing you for X amount of money. Like, if you're not getting sacks like that, like you're just getting coverage sacks for the most part, which I'm not sure if Zaven Collins is legit won a rep, and then it's led to a sack. I think it's all coverage sacks. So I just haven't been insanely impressed. I feel like he's playing better, but maybe shift him back to inside linebacker at some point, and then kind of let some of these young guys take over.
Okay, that's fair.
It's like, it's kind of a hot take because he has looked better. Don't get me wrong. But it's just nothing through the pass rush game has really impressed me yet. I don't know if you feel the same way or if you're kind of higher on him this season than most, but just like nothing he's really done has just like stood out, in my opinion.
I guess we got to look at it in a completely, I guess the way I'm looking at it right now that you said that and I pulled up his stats, I think most Cardinal fans are proud of what he's done so far within these first 5 games because people already labeled him a bust. Somebody already labeled him as somebody that really wasn't working, or a Steve Keim mess up, right, pick. But being that we've seen a production in what he's done so far in the outside linebacker, although looking at the numbers, it's not something that's going to stand out in these first 5 games saying, oh my God, keep what you're doing. But right now he's got 9 solo tackles, 2.5 sacks on the season and 1 interception. That's definitely better than what a Vance Joseph led defense would put him into, right? So I think there's some potential there, but I do like the idea of seeing what these young guys can do that's behind them, right? Like your Cam Thomas or your Victor Dimukeje or your Amaje, right? I really want to see what they can do. Yeah. Truly.
I want to see what the legit pass rushers have, like legit pass rushers. Like Zaven Collins has looked solid. Don't get me wrong. I feel like a lot of it is just scheme. I feel like scheme is putting him in the right position.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times, and he's kind of playing his role really well, but nothing he's done is just like, it's not like he's like an X factor on the defense where it's like, okay, that's a guy we have to watch out for. And I've been hard on Zaven Collins since coming in the league. I'm going to be very honest with that. I might be a little biased in that, but at the same time, just looking at it from like an organizational standpoint, it's like, do you want to really retain this man as an outside linebacker when the price tag is going to probably be sky high? I'm not sure. And he's going to have his 5th-year option coming up next year, I believe. So that's another question mark. Like, it's just a lot of things. And you have a lot of guys behind him too, just seeking opportunity. You got BJ Ojulari, you got Myjai Sanders, you got Cam Thomas. You got people who are ready and hungry and young players. Zaven Collins is young too, but you have these other young guys who potentially have more upside. And I really want to see what a BJ Ojolari and Myjai Sanders outside linebacker duo would look like. And Myjai Sanders hasn't been able to play a game this year because he's been injured.
Yeah.
But when they're both fully healthy, and BJ Ojolari, I don't know if he's fully healthy yet or like what's going on, but it's been 5 weeks. And I know he was banged up in the preseason, but if he's ready, I want to see him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if that's the case, I really hope Nick Rallis kind of works him in.
So I'm kind of curious because now that I'm looking at the snap counts here for the Arizona Cardinals, I think obviously Zayvon Collins is the one that's been dominating these snap counts, as well as Dennis Gardeck, and then Victor Dimukeje is going to be a notable guy after that, and then Cam Thomas. But it does actually say that BJ Ojulari is seeing the field, unless this is things wrong. Last week they said he was on the field 22 snaps, 27%. So I got to look into that. Have you noticed? BJ, I haven't personally.
I haven't, and maybe that goes to him just not doing anything. Like maybe he's just not like a factor, but I don't know. And obviously Nick Rallis sees other things that we don't. So he sees Zayvon Collins in practice. He sees what he's capable of. He sees the intangibles. He sees what he sees on the field and the plays he can make. So obviously he likes what he sees. Otherwise he wouldn't be starting over these guys. But
yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like we have a lot of players that I would love to see on this defense get an opportunity to like play the snaps Zayvon Collins is playing.
That's fair. That's a fair statement. Okay, so everybody look out for number 18. If number 18 is on the field, then we know that this thing is correct. But I didn't notice. I'm not gonna lie to you. Honestly, when you're watching a game, when you're watching a game, obviously, and not looking at like film, like specifically, like, you're just watching a game in whole. You're not focusing on like, oh, every single play, who's on the field, right? Number 18. But in this coming week, I'm going to make sure I try to look for number 18 because if he's on there, then he's actually playing. So we'll see. But I do agree the good majority of persons that are taking those outside linebacker spots or snaps, there's going to be Zayvon Collins as well as Dennis Gardeck as well. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens here. I think a lot of us are excited about Garrett Williams. We most likely might hear if he's going to be a full go Friday, right? Thursday or Friday is probably going to be the days that we most likely will hear if Garrett Williams is going to make his debut against the Rams. Do you agree with that?
I think so. And at the latest, it'll be like Saturday, like nighttime Saturday, because sometimes there's a lot of game time decisions. It kind of just depends where his status is, if they're ready to give an update or if it's something that they have to test going into the game. So I think Thursday and Friday are kind of the days you got to look out for. And if you don't hear anything, it's going to be like late Saturday. It's just, that's what it'll be. I'm kind of optimistic. I probably shouldn't be. Probably shouldn't because that's just how you get let down.
Yeah.
But I really am. I feel like Garrett Williams has a legit shot. And the way that coaches and everybody were talking about him, like, oh, yeah, he's ready to get after it. He's been practicing. He got a pick in practice too. So very optimistic, and I'm hoping this is the week he's good to go. And even if he is good to go, I don't think he's going to play 70% of the snaps. I think it'll be like 20, 30 or whatever, and they'll work him in. But this is the game to get a look at the NFL. Like, listen, these two have been killing people all year long. Let's see what you got, throw them right into the fire right away. And sometimes it's the best thing to do for a corner, or sometimes it's the best thing to do for an NFL player, just throw them right into the fire.
Yeah. And we're not even looking for a shutdown. Like that's the thing, right? As Cardinal fans, we're not looking for a shutdown. We're looking for competitive. We're looking for bat downs. We're looking for, can you hang with a wide receiver in the NFL? Like that's what we're looking for. So yeah, we'll see. I think a lot of us are, kind of looking at this Rams game. And although the history doesn't lie, and the Cardinals are 2-7, including the playoff game against the Los Angeles Rams, obviously having the 2 wins compared to the 7 losses, that dates back to 2019. It's definitely not a good look for the Cardinals heading into this game, especially because the Rams are better than most people thought. I think they only have 2 wins on the season, but they look like an overall good team. And they played pretty tough teams, including us as well, but they look like an overall rounded team. They got a franchise quarterback over there, right? We're rolling with our backup quarterback in Josh Dobbs. So
yeah, it's polar opposites at this point.
Yeah. Let's do this. We only got a little bit more time here on this podcast. I want to take a look here at the draft order here for the 2024 season. As right now, as we're standing, the Arizona Cardinals, I could have sworn we had the 6th pick, but looking at it right now, it says that we have the 7th pick, which is the Arizona Cardinals pick, and then we have the 10th pick, which is the Houston's pick. Right now, where we're sitting at the 7th and the 10th spot, do you feel like the Arizona Cardinals will get closer, or I guess a higher pick right now if you're just predicting?
What are the teams in front of us? I know Chicago is 1 and 2. They have the Panthers pick as well.
Yep.
Who else is
So
above
right
us?
now, obviously Chicago 1 and 2. Number 3 is going to be Denver. Number 4 is going to be Minnesota. Number 5 is the Patriots. Number 6 being the Giants. Number 8, the Packers. Number 9, Vegas.
I think we will be closer, picking
Higher.
in that like 4 to 5 spot. I think Denver is terrible. I feel like Denver is going to be up there. They have talent though, so it's like they could win games. I think the Vikings are better than their record shows.
I agree with that.
I feel like the Vikings are going to get things going at one point or another. Even without Justin Jefferson, they still have weapons on that team. They have, I believe it's Alexander Madison at running back. They have TJ Hawkinson, Jordan Addison. Like they still have players, right? Even if Justin Jefferson doesn't come back for a while, he's on IR now, missing the next 4 games. But I think they'll be all right. They still got Kirk Cousins. I don't know how high we would jump. I think the Packers will also finish with like 6 to 7 wins when the season's over. And I don't really feel like they're going to be a threat as well. And they're 1 pick ahead of us, right? The Packers, are they 1 behind us?
Right now, the Packers are they're number 8th.
Okay, so they're 1 behind us.
Yeah, they're 1 behind and then 2 behind the Texans, or in front of the Texans.
Yeah, so I'm not really worried. I think as it stands, the Cardinals will have a higher draft pick than the Texans, and that's just based on the way the Texans are playing this season. And they could have won last week too. They could be positive right now, which is crazy because they're not supposed to be. They're definitely not supposed to be. But the Cardinals weren't even supposed to be in games this season like this. So
True.
NFL is a really unpredictable thing. And I think the Cardinals, if I had to make like a prediction for the pick, are going to fall somewhere from like 3 to 5.
3 to 5 range. And that's including the both picks.
I think that Texans pick is going to be like 7 or maybe like 6 to 10, maybe 5 to 10. And then,
so you think the Texans are going to be better than the Cardinals on record, like the record wise?
Yeah, I do. I think so. It's just the way what I've seen so far from that team. They are playing a lot better, and CJ Stroud was playing without like every offensive lineman, and they were winning games. So it's kind of hard to not look at that team and have a little bit of optimism.
Right.
Unfortunately. Like, I don't want to, trust me. I want to come in here and be like, yeah, the Texans still suck.
Right.
They're going to give us a higher draft pick. But it's tough to look into that and just not be semi-unoptimistic. Now, obviously, if things take a turn, shout out to the Texans. But who knows, man? Where do you think we're going to be picking for both? If you had to pick like a little just prediction.
So right now, honestly, people don't believe. I think Chicago's going to win more games than the Cardinals. I think there's some flashes that Justin Fields has come out. Well, here, okay, actually, let me take this back. It's all depending on if Kyler Murray comes back or not, because I don't feel confident saying Kyler Murray's not going to win more games than Justin Fields.
Yeah.
If somehow this season completely goes upside down and Jonathan Gannon and the Cardinals decide to do whatever with Kyler and we don't see Kyler, okay, I think the Chicago Bears are going to finish with like 4 to 5 wins. So that might be more than the Cardinals. Denver, it's so hard because obviously they got so much money tied up to their head coach, Sean Payton, and their quarterback, and Russell Wilson. So much money. I don't know about them. They're so unknown to me right now. I don't know what they're going to do. Minnesota, they are a better team. So I think they're going to find themselves somewhere in the middle parts. So 13, 14, 15. I think that they're not going to be as good as people think, but I don't think they're going to be as bad as people. They're going to be like mediocre. They'll figure it out. They'll start winning games. The Patriots, they're pretty unknown too. The Giants are booty. Like they're dog water as well.
They're horrible.
Yeah, they're bad. But it depends, man. Like, okay, let me give my prediction here. I know I'm kind of going through this whole ramble right now. I think the Cardinals are going to be our pick. I would say I'm confident saying the Cardinals are going to be 4 with our pick. And then with the Texans pick, I'm going to say 9. Just gonna throw it out. 9, yeah.
That's fair.
I think that's where we're going to land at. So even with 4, let's say, for example, the quarterbacks go 1, 2, 3, right? let's just say, for example, quarterbacks go. Marvin Harrison Jr.
It's hard for me to think that Marvin Harrison's going to drop out of the top 3.
I know.
With Chicago being in a position where I feel like it's, if you don't get Caleb Williams,
True.
you rock with Justin Fields. So if Chicago falls anywhere under 2, I feel like Marvin Harrison is gone, right? You pair DJ Moore and Marvin Harrison, it's just another weapon for your quarterback. And that's where I kind of feel it is going to be. It kind of sucks. Even if that's the number 2 pick, I feel like Marvin Harrison will go. Or if it's the number 3, Marvin Harrison will go. So if the Cardinals don't land that top 3 pick, it's just hard to see it. But it's very possible the Cardinals do, because it's literally a tie down the line right now. Like, there's a bunch of 1-win teams right now, and we're just slotted in that spot. It's not like we have 2 wins. We have 1.
True.
So,
but if you look, you're 100% right. If you look at the people that are on those spots, 1 to 2 wins. Like, that's it. Like, we're so early in the season right now that anything can happen, right? You can see Chicago go on a crazy wild spree. You can see Bryce Young do crazy things. You never know, right? It's
you really don't.
Season. Yeah.
I'm just not confident in Justin Fields, dude. I'm really not. I've never been ultra believer, even going into it. I feel like he struggles reading defenses and processing things live. I feel like his legs kind of coat a lot of it, kind of just masks a lot of his passing inability. And when Justin Fields, if you kind of watch him play quarterback, there's plays where literally everybody has been wide open, or there's like 3 reads that are wide open, and he just struggles to process it. And instead he'll step up and take a sack, or he'll try to run when there's no lanes open. And it's just like, Justin Fields, you just got to throw the ball sometimes. You got to pre-anticipate. You got to understand that if they're in a cover 2 and you got to hit him, like, you got to hit him here. You got to hit him when he's about to cross on a post or whatever. And it's just he doesn't read it.
I think it's quite grasping it there yet.
I feel like he's just not processing things at a quarterback level right now. And I feel like the talent, he's still super young. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, quarterbacks back then got it so much easier. Now with social media and everything, people are so ready to get rid of them. You're not ready in 1 or 2 years. You don't want them. Oh yeah, it's what it is. They don't have time to actually develop. And back then you would have 5-6 years, 4 or 5 years. And it's like, okay, yeah, maybe you're not the guy. We'll look onto someone else. Now it's like, oh my gosh, you just put up a 14 touchdown and 10 pick season in your first year. You're horrible. Like, I feel like Zach Wilson, who, don't get me wrong, I don't think he's great, but I feel like Zach Wilson is kind of getting an unfair shot. Like, I really do. The Jets have never really had a quarterback like that. They've never had a franchise quarterback, and they got Aaron Rodgers, lost him instantly. So I feel like Zach Wilson, he does have the weapons though, which is tough, but I've seen flashes from Zach Wilson that I haven't seen from Justin Fields in the passing game. And DJ Moore and Justin Fields connected last game.
Yeah, they did.
Will it happen again? I don't know. It's just something we kind of have to wait and see. And I do like Justin Fields off the field. That's the thing. Like, Justin Fields is a guy, I like him. Like, as a person, I think he's a fantastic person. And I would love to see him succeed, but I don't know. I don't know. Justin Fields is a big question mark.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to cut it short here. Thank you so very much, everybody, for tuning in. We are going to close this up. Ladies and gentlemen, just another quick reminder here. We are available on Apple Podcasts here as well. So definitely go and shoot us a follow over there and then take us on the road. A lot of people have been telling us, man, get on a podcast because, we can't watch you, or when I'm working or doing this, working out. Now you can do so. Go to Apple Podcasts, follow the Big Red Pod, and go ahead and hit that follow button. Shoot us 5 stars, and the rest is history from there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, appreciate you guys for tuning in. Everybody in the chat, thank you so very much for being here. Have a great rest of your day as always. Go Cards.
Peace out.